Today we're at a park and I saw this awesome project on someone else's YouTube where they got a terrarium and all they started with was dirt. And then the amount of things that grew in the terrarium out of the dirt was just, to me, it was really astounding and impressive. And I love the idea of just starting with, well, not really nothing, but starting with dirt and just seeing what's going to pop up from there, because there's seeds all over the place. So in the park we're at today, we're going to take some samples from a couple different spots and we're going to seal that up in a terrarium and watch what happens over time.
This is one of our favorite local varieties of snake. It's called the smooth green snake. And they're just really cool because they're such a vibrant color and they blend in so well with their surroundings. They live almost exclusively off of insects and they're active during the daytime. So it's really neat to see one that was down on the ground. He was actually in the street and we wanted to move it to safety. But usually they're up in the trees and they blend in so well that you don't often actually get a chance to see them. Luckily they're non-venomous and they're also really timid, so even if you do handle one, they're not really gonna bite you. But we're gonna go ahead and put this one back. It was just really awesome to get a chance to hold and see one again.
Now that we've gathered everything from the park, I'm going to go ahead and set up the container for making the terrarium. The first thing I'm going to do is make a false bottom for it, so I'm going to cut the screen to fit first, and then after that we're going to continue on. So let's get started. Right now what I'm doing is I'm just lining up some window screen. This is the, I think it's carbon fiber window screen. And I'm just lining this up, and I'm going to cut it a little bit larger than the footprint of this container, and then I'm going to trim it down a little bit better in size in a second. But this is going to be a separation for the drainage layer and then the dirt we collected. I did just cut the screen, so now I'm going to put the rocks as the drainage layer. I'm just using regular, like, I think they're river pebbles or some sort of pebbles. I got them from Home Depot. They're pretty cheap per bag, but they are heavy. I'm just putting a layer of these pebbles down, and then I'm going to put the screen I just cut on top of that. I think the charcoal's in the closet. Yeah. So now that I put the screen down, I'm going to be putting a layer of activated carbon on top of it. And this is just going to act as kind of like filter for any water that passes through it to try to give this the best chance of not molding and kind of combating that. Because whatever plants might be able to grow from here, we want to give them the best chance. I'm excited to be able to use some of this because this isn't even half of what we bought. You probably already noticed this. When we're leaving the park, I kind of decided that just dirt might be a little bit boring. So I saw this laying on the ground, and I thought this would be a great addition to just help break up what's going on inside this terrarium, at least until plants start growing and stuff. And I also know that some fungus really prefer growing on rotting wood, so I'm kind of hoping that maybe this will be able to facilitate that, but we'll have to see. Only time will tell. I am going to pull any live plants I see out of this, because the goal of this wasn't to just get a locally sourced terrarium, it was to try to see what we can get just to grow from dirt. So this plant, it's got to go. Since we gathered from quite a few different areas, I didn't really mix it up in the bucket first, so I'm going to do that real quick now. And then after I mix it up, I'm just going to lay it over the top of that, and we're going to wind up sealing this up. Oh, that was green. Green's got to go. Now, to seal up this container, what we did is we went to a local hardware store. It was actually a bit ago, but we got them to cut pieces of glass exactly to the same size as the inner lip here. I know most aquariums you could probably find lids that fit that size, but this was a little bit cheaper of option for us because we were able to get 3 of these panes of glass for a pretty affordable price. Ours, they weren't the best at cutting the glass, so it does have some jagged edges. So whenever you're working with glass, especially if it's been cut, be really careful with it. And that's why I'm wearing these gloves, to just help keep myself safe from getting cuts. The last thing you want to do when you're working on a fun project is to get a nasty cut. So be careful when you're working with this glass if you have it cut to size. But right now I'm not going to seal it up this moment because I want to give it a couple of days for me to slowly add a little bit more water into here. I know I don't want to overload it with water, and I don't want to give it too much water before I actually seal this thing up. So I'm going to be putting the lid on it, but before I do that, I'm going to give it a light misting.
No, you can't fake the 60 frames.
You needed slow mo, so I was doing it slowly.